Hey guys and girls, Bored now back with you on this video. I've returned to Ozark. So this is going to be my review of Season 2, Episode 5. The episode is called Game Day, and full spoilers from the start of this review as always. So a really tough episode for Ruth this time. She's really put through the ringer. Very physically brutal episode for her, and it sort of shows a lot about her character, the way she comes out of it the other end, and well, not unscathed, but she survives it, and she proves a lot to like Marty and Wendy, I think, in the process. So this all comes out of the FBI investigation from the last episode at the end of it, and they don't dig up too much which can really hurt the birds. They get like bits and pieces. The one big thing they find is that they find the 10,000 which Charlotte took, which was, well, her half of like the money. So during his interrogation of Marty, Petty's trying to use it as leverage to inform Matt. And I think obviously we know that's not really going to happen, because the show would have to change drastically, and in some ways you may not have any shows. But Petty continues to like turn up the heat on the birds, and he continues to play mind games, and he uses what happened with Ruth, where Ruth wired up the docks. And killed her uncles, but mentions and then she tried to kill him originally, so that's maybe playing with the truth a bit, but he uses it anyway. And obviously the strategy there is to plant some seeds of doubt, and again it's all about leverage. It's all about trying to convince Marty then you're playing a dangerous game, and your best hope of getting out of it is to turn state, to become an informant for me. And I think what's interesting about the dynamic with Marty and Wendy is that Marty, I think at times, although he ultimately comes through, I think at times he seems more affected by all this than Wendy, and he's like, oh my god, maybe it's best for me and for the family if I do. I mean, obviously at the end of the day he knows that they could all face like jail time or some sort of repercussion, so I think that's ultimately what stops him from like going through with it. But he definitely considers it. I think there's moments in this episode where he considers it, and I think Wendy is a lot more firm than that, a lot more machine-like almost. She's like, no, we've got to stick to our guns, we've got to stick together and not cave into that. And ultimately, as I said, that the show would have to change very drastically if one of them did cave in. So Petty continues to be a complete asshole in the way he like threatens Ruth in this, and playing the two sides off against each other sort of thing. And we see the return of Helen, who of course debuted at the start of the season, and once again she's great. The actress is great, but she starts questioning, because she finds out what happens, and she starts questioning, can we trust Ruth, basically. So once again the birds are trying to keep things under control. Marty's very protected of Ruth because he has built up this relationship with her, but obviously once again this shows the dangers of like dealing with the cartels, because Helen has her own ideas, and I think she has orders from her clients, so she rushes off and goes after Ruth, which neither of like Marty or Helen like gives her permission for. Not Helen, sorry, Wendy. So they go after Ruth, and this is where the episode gets really dark and really tense. I think you probably figure Ruth's going to come out okay and survive because she is one of the main characters, but it's definitely touch and go. And Helen, and obviously she's got a couple of her gang there, interrogate Ruth and actually use the waterboarding technique, which is really brutal. And like, you don't see everything, like, the camera cuts away a lot of the times, but often that makes it even tougher, even more disturbing, just when you can hear what's happening but you can't actually see them. But Ruth does not crack, and it insists she can be trusted, and Helen is impressed with her toughness. So that's a big character moment for Ruth, the fact that she doesn't crack and actually gains the trust of Helen. Whether you want the trust of Helen, or I guess in that circumstance she does, but whether it's the sort of woman you really want respect for, I'm not sure. But it's an effective scene anyway. There's certain cracks that start to appear between Marty and Wendy, because they sort of disagree on some of these matters, and they actually discuss their marriage and if it's really that rock solid at the moment. Marty reminds Wendy that she cheated on him, and Charlotte overhears this and goes to Jonah, and this is the first time they're actually finding out about the affair. So that's definitely something they've been doing so far this season, where the parents have been pushing the children away more and still guarding them from certain stuff. And we see the consequences again here, where they do. It's almost like if you don't tell them the truth straight away, because obviously this is something that you probably should be sharing with your children. In the long run, I'm not saying you have to do it straight away, but by putting it off and then hiding it, and the children finding out like this, Charlotte overhearing it, actually makes things worse. So her and Jonah are actually talking about, using the money they got and buying a van and running away. This is something Charlotte's really pushing for. So things are starting to heat up on their end as well, because sometimes the children don't always have the biggest plot or the biggest amount to do, but things are starting to come together on their side of the plot. And the other thing is, then there's still a lot of tension with the Snells and with, well, from the mafia sort of end, where Helen, because they've got like the poppy field with the drugs, and because you've constantly got the FBI sniffing around and this investigation, Helen wants them to burn the poppies, but Darlene refuses to do that, and things just really starting to kick off between the two sides, which makes for some really meaty drama. But Wendy has this idea, because Darlene for a while now has wanted to adopt, so because she actually knows someone in child services in the adoption, and this is through like their interaction, where they actually found, like Mason's baby, like a home. So they have certain connections, and she brings Darlene adoption information and says she can pull some strings for her to fast track her, and maybe get a child in the long run. And this is like just a ploy to enable Buddy to gain access, and this is an underhanded plan where Buddy, once again, I think Jonah's with him, but they go and they burn the farm, and it's all a trick. It's just a way to distract them while they burn the farm and take out the crops. So yeah, pretty obvious Darlene isn't going to take too kindly to this one, but that's kind of the dramatic end of the episode. So that's Game Day, the 5th episode of Season 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. share me out on social media, and I'll be back with more Ozark soon. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.